Podsters, we are back and I am so pumped. I am with, do you ever meet someone and you have like an instant connection with them? Not in a creepy way, but in like I want this person to be my friend. So that's what happened when I met Dr. Audra. And she's going to introduce herself in a second. We met on the beach at a mastermind in Los Angeles. And I knew instantly that this woman was someone that needed to come on the podcast. I love her work. You are going to love her work. Love what she has to say. You're going to follow her. You're going to fall in love with her like I did. Welcome, Dr. Audra.
Woo woo. What's up, y'all? I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And by the way, Dr. Audra is wearing an Unmute Yourself tank top. Thank you very much. It looks super cute.
Love it.
So, Dr. Audra, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, hello. I'm Dr. Audra Lance, and I live here in Nashville, and I specialize in sports and non-surgical injuries. My whole goal is to get to the root cause of your pain. We want to figure out what's going on, why it's going on, and actually fix it.
So I want to pause for a minute because you say root cause of your pain, and that is a big statement. I know you mean physical pain. So I'm going to ask you what I ask some people. Why did you feel it was important to make your life's work to get to the root cause of pain?
Ooh, I just got goosebumps while you were asking me that. I have always been like a helper and wanting to help people and an overgiver and people pleaser, which is why I love listening to your stuff because it's served me in so many ways, but then it's also made me so sick at the same time. But the high of helping someone is indescribable. It's just so good. And when I was a kid, I was really sick with strep throat all the time. So I was at the doctor's offices. And when I would come home, I'd play with my Barbies and stuffed animals and play doctor. So I always knew from a young age, like I was called or like wanted to do this. I just didn't know which kind, which specialty, where I'd end up. And here I am. And I can't imagine doing anything else. I'm so grateful how much I love my job.
That's so Podsters, you can do what you love to do and only what you love to do and get paid copious amounts of money for doing it. She did the thing, which was very big over here. Unmute yourself. You said in my clinic, we help get to the root cause of your pain. Why do you think you focused on pain? Because you could have focused on strep. You could have focused on, what's it called? The ones that help your bones, whatever. You could have
like surgery.
Thank you. You could have focused on anything. So why do you think it's pain?
Well, I think that especially around America, we're always like, oh, I'm in pain. My back hurts. This hurts. That hurts. And the surgery is not always the answer. And surgery fails a lot of times. You think it's going to be this end all cure all. And we see it all the time in the clinic. Like, oh God, I thought this was going to fix it. And it didn't, because that wasn't the root cause. Just because imaging says you have a little disc inflammation or herniated disc, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a source. And I know that's a radical thing for some people to hear. But unless you're doing a full neurological functional movement evaluation, which imaging is a great tool, but it's not the end all be all tool unless it's a big emergency.
I love it. I love it. Particularly, I'm just remembering when I was younger, my dad slipped a disc and you go to a surgeon, the surgeon's going to say, we need to cut you open. And he said, no. So he went through like weeks of traction. Like he did it himself with this weird contraction in the bed. It was odd. And he never ended up getting the surgery. So, that I think that's interesting. You talk about,
I tell people all the time, including my mom, like she lives in a different state and had some back stuff. She's like, I'm going to go to this awesome surgeon. And I said, no fault on him, but just know when you're going to a surgeon, what did they spend their whole career specializing at? That's the fix they know. There's nothing bad for you. Want them to be good at that. No shame, but whatever. Don't be surprised when you go to a surgeon and they tell you need surgery.
It's so interesting. You remember these little moments in your life. I got married late in life. Let me rephrase that. I got married a little later in my life than traditional marriages. I got married when I was 43. And before that, I had been like, okay, well, maybe I want to have a kid on my own. So I went to a female, I'll never forget, a female fertility specialist. No, I went to a female doctor, gynecologist, maybe, I don't remember. And she said, if you go to a fertility specialist, they're going to tell you to freeze your eggs and to do all this stuff. She said, so if that's something you want to do, you should do it. But if you want advice on to on whether or not you should, and then do not go to one of them. You need to go to other sources, because you go to a surgeon with back pain, they're going to say, yep, we probably need to operate.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
heed that, Podsters. You talk about this three-legged stool. You call it a triangle. So that's the root cause of your pain. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's my restorative movement techniques.
Yep.
And it's getting to the root cause of your pain through all these methods, which other doctors have come up with around the world and I've trained under. And then pairing that not only with, because in my clinic early on, I was like, oh yeah, this treatment's great. But sometimes a couple years later, a couple months later, people come back and they're like, I have it again. And I'm like, because that was the state of the art, clinically researched. I know what I was doing was good, but there's something else going on.
Mm-hmm.
And after my own like clinical research, typing up stuff, looking at all these notes, there was a couple trends that came up. It was, we need to also address people's stress levels and their mindset. And I'm fortunate enough to, all my patients right now are celebrities, professional athletes, singers. And so I'm working with the top of the top, being able to see this firsthand. And I mean, they have stress, they have mindset stuff. They're normal people, they poop too. And then they get this pain. And if we're not addressing the whole triad or triangle, we're missing the boat, and it's making it more likely to come back or flare up when they have that award show or the game that's the playoff game.
I love it. I love it. So this episode is airing smack dab in the middle of the holidays, and that's on purpose. So when I met Audra, it was a few months ago. And I remember thinking, I want to have you on the podcast to talk about how to manage your stress, manage your mindset, and thrive during the holidays. And this is personal to me, and most of the podcast are things that I'm passionate about. Every December, I have a great time. I run around. I get burnt out. I'm stressed out. Everything has to be done. Blah, blah, blah. So I, as a gift to this community, said, well, I'm going to bring on a doctor to tell us, here is how you can thrive during the holidays. Because I don't know anybody who thrives during the holidays. I don't. I will tell you, this year, I was mentioning this the first time we recorded the podcast, that this year I had a really, really powerful year in my business. And as a present to myself, hell yeah, I did. As a present to myself, I said, I'm not going to take any speaking gigs in December. I'm not going to eat bonbons and sit on my couch all day. I'll work on my business and I'll keep producing podcasts, and I'm writing another book, all that stuff. But I'm not going to get on the road. I'm not going to get on a plane. I'm not going, because it's physically demanding and it drains my energy. I love it. And also I need a break. So as a present to myself, I said, okay, December, no. So most people can't do that. They can't say, well, screw it, I'm just not going to work the month of December. So tell us about what you see in terms of stress and how people manage or don't manage their stress affecting their peak performance. I'm calling it peak performance because that's what it is, folks. It is, with everything going on in the world right now, we need to be at peak performance, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. And I think it's a little individualized. So that's even how we practice. I'm not going to give you the same thing I give your friend, even if you have the exact same problems, because there's a different root cause. And so for the holiday season, I feel like so many people set these expectations that are just so high, and they truly believe it's like one of my favorite things, like the Hallmark movies, the happy ending, and it's all going to be perfect and work out. But you set yourself up for failure by putting all these things on your plate and these expectations that the house has to be perfect. I have to show up to every Christmas, holiday, Thanksgiving party. I got to see all the family all the times. I can't make anyone upset. I got to cook all the things better than the neighbor. I have to get all the presents. Like, it is just one thing on top of the other, and you're not living in the moment, fully enjoying it. You have to set a boundary for yourself. And I'm pretty bad at this, and I'm like recovering people pleaser and really trying. And when I do, it might be hard and super uncomfortable in the moment, but after, I'm so much happier with myself. I'm so much more relaxed, and I earn the respect of who I set the boundary with. It might not be in that moment, but it comes around. And I don't know, like, life is short, everything going on right now. Why would you like hate on yourself and let yourself down? You get one life, one body. Like, set yourself up for success and be happy with what you want.
I love it. We're very big on boundaries over here. So I think for the holidays, yes, it's 100% boundaries with other people. Much more so for me, it's boundaries with myself. What do you think about that?
Oh, 100%. And you need to take time for something that's pleasurable for you within that boundary you set for yourself. So you said like staying home in your cocoon. What I start people on when we're addressing the stress component, give me 30 seconds a day. And if you can't give that to me, like you're scrolling your phone for way longer than that. You put your fucking phone down and you do something that makes you happy. So for me, that is sitting on the porch, looking outside, drinking my cup of coffee, and actually just no phone, just staring out into nature. Other days, that's hopping in the bathtub, reading a book. And if I can do 2 minutes of like, because it's hard when our nervous systems are so heightened, to bring them down, it feels very uncomfortable. So it's not, I mean, I'm not basic, like giving you this hard stuff. I don't have time to do 30 minutes of meditation a day. I know you don't either. We need to do the stuff that science proves actually works, and you'll feel a difference. So something of pleasure, reading a book, give yourself, just start with 30 seconds and it will be awkward and weird. And just maybe turn your fireplace on and sit on the couch and just stare at it and just take a couple deep breaths. I have these free 3-part breathe out attention series that you can download. And there's one for like traveling, one to go to sleep, and one when you're sitting down at work. And it's me in your ear coaching you how to just breathe. And this automatically down regulates your nervous system to get you to like calm down.
What's the name of this?
Breathe out attention.
Okay, great. So we'll link this in the show notes for sure. I love so much. Okay, so I love everything you just said, but what I really love is 30 seconds. First of all, I'm going to be direct. That's how I am with love. If you want to tell me you don't have 30 seconds in your day to sit quietly, lovingly, I say, get over yourself. You have 30 seconds if you have a social media account. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I love that. I love that it's when you travel. That's another thing. So for this last speaking gig that I have, it's again rigorous. I'm going to go stay at a hotel because it's in my town, or it's 5 miles from where I have a condo, but I can't have the stuff around the house. I can't have the to-do list. Danny said to me this morning, make sure you pack a candle. Like I'm packing a candle, like all that stuff. It's going to be a little great. Yep. So how do you remember to do that? That's what I wanted to remember. Because if you're a person that jumps into your day, like I do, like I'm up, most days I'll journal, and that's my kind of mindfulness thing. Yeah, it's great. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I have a lot on my plate and I just get right into it. Do you set a reminder on your watch? Like, how do you remember to do that?
Yeah, I tell people you can set, if you have an iPhone or an Android, I'm sure, but you can set like silent reminders. So it's not like going off in a work meeting. But I have something set twice a day because my days are just all over the place. But usually between one of these 2 times, I'll be able to take it and do it. So it just says a reminder, you're important. Take this time for yourself.
Oh my God, I love that. You're important. Take this time for yourself. And then, so if you're in the office and that goes off, what do you do? Like you can't go sit on your porch in the office.
No, if I'm with a client or something, it's just silent. So I just see it on the screen the next time I look at the screen. In my head, I'm like, okay, so what I usually do is it's right before I'm usually done with work, or like if I stay a little later, when I get in my car, I'll just turn on my car, have it in silence, because that's a safe space too, right? Your car. And just breathe and sit there for 30 seconds before I drive home. And this makes the commute even better. So if the traffic, I'm like, I just had 30 seconds to myself. No one bothered me in the car. The doors were shut. I was able to just feel like half the time you don't even know if you're hungry. You don't know if you're holding your breath. I mean, these are huge components that help heal pain and are contributing to your pain, but also your stress and your nervous system and what's contributing to still make you sick and not feel good. It is not normal to not feel good. So these are little steps that, yes, it's not easy, but I'm giving you tools to make it easy. Everyone wants the easy fix, pop a pill, do this, and have someone else do it, but you need to take accountability for it. You set yourself up with this life and these boundaries. And sometimes you have to learn the hard way and cut back and figure out how to, I hate the word balance because there's not always balance, but give yourself what you need, even just 30 seconds.
I'm speechless. You just said everything that I stand for. I will say, instead of balance, we call it blending, work-life
Oh,
blending.
I like that. I
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah, I really like that. So I'm thinking about it. So 30 seconds in my car. So if I understand you correctly, because I want to make sure, because I frankly, I'm not sure I believe this. I'm willing to try it. 30 seconds in 30 seconds, just a timeout to shut down my brain. You're saying scientifically proven to help me regulate my nervous system.
Yeah. And the goal here is I'd like to get you up to 2 minutes, but I'm not going to force that on you at first. It does feel so uncomfortable. And so you just work for 30 seconds for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you try 45 or 60 seconds. The goal is to get up to 2 minutes, but you will feel results with 30 seconds.
I think the key for me for 30 seconds is because I do meditate sporadically.
And I'm terrible at it.
That's the key is I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I could do 2 minutes because I meditate. Well, you meditate maybe once a week. So you're saying every day, start with 30 seconds and then get where you want to go. It's interesting because I was just thinking about this morning. I had a couple of different people, and I'm going to do a podcast episode about it, who I saw a lot of during the pandemic because many of us had a lot more time during the pandemic. Some people, if you're homeschooling your kids, obviously you didn't. But I would argue that on the bottom side, you weren't going anywhere. So at night, maybe you had some more time. Anyway, I was thinking about the pandemic, and in the pandemic, we thrived. And I am not minimizing anything that happened. It was terrible. I meditated every day. I did yoga every day at 5 p.m. I went in a hot tub every day after yoga. And I started each day with a cup of coffee. There was no rush, rush, rush. Now, if you think about the macro stress on all of us, I thought I would walk out my door and die. I thought if I go to the grocery store, I'm going to catch this disease and die. And yet I was thriving because the little stressors from every day, I was able to manage that with my mind. It is powerful.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I'm guilty of this. I'm like, oh, I'm freaking invincible. Like, I got this and I'm going to push through and I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Well, it's happened to me twice now that I've gotten stage 3 adrenal fatigue. Like, they just looked at my labs and they're like, how are you even getting out of bed? Because I overgive. And of course, there's a homework component to it. There's a lot of other things going on, but a huge component of it is not managing my stress and not taking time. Like, I'm preaching this to people, but I wasn't doing it myself. So starting to do this, I'm not saying it's easy. Like, I'm with you. It's hard. And still I fall back in that pattern sometimes. I'll do it later. But then I remember what it cost me. Like, what are you going to let not feeling good cost you? What are you not going to be present for? What are you going to feel like shit and say no for? I mean, it can be as simple as like going to your kid's game or not taking that trip or not performing how you want to perform at your job or not being able to go hang out with your friends. Like, it's costing you a lot. And you have to sit down and think about when you're going to say, I'm done. And I'm actually going to take a small amount of time for myself.
Again, I'm dropping the mic. If I could drop the mic, I would. So tell me a little bit about adrenal fatigue, because you've mentioned that a couple times. To me, so I'm a layman, right? I don't know what this means. Okay, she was tired. And I know it's more than that. What does that really mean? And how do you get there? How do you know you have it? And what is the outcome?
Okay. So the other classic like term that's thrown around is burnout. And some people are like, you're weak if you have burnout. And I mean, I was one of those people, but it's had to happen to me twice. So your adrenals are on top of your kidneys. And without getting too sciencey, they play a crucial part in your hormones and regulating and balancing and producing cortisol.
Oh, okay. So cortisol is the stress hormone.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And when we constantly run and in that height, which is slightly addicting, you want more coffee, you want to accomplish more check marks, all that stuff, you are just producing cortisol like you're in a football game every play constantly. And this wreaks havoc on your body. So this directly causes more inflammation. So that can be affected in your stomach. Like, I had stomach aches all the time. I was nauseous all the time. I had numbness and tingling in my hands that I kind of just played up was from my job because I used my hands all day, which it wasn't because I use correct body mechanics. Then like headaches. I would get home from work at like 6 or 7 and want to just die. And then I'd go to bed at 6 or 7 and wake up the next morning at 5. And I did not want to get out of bed. Like, it was torture. I mean, it is just a fatigue you can't describe, but there's all these other symptoms that at the time I didn't know were connected. The headaches, the adversity for food, or sometimes people get more hungry, just constantly getting like sinus stuff. The key component for me is I'm this happy, you talked about it, how we just clicked. I'm high energy, I'm happy, bubbly. I love life. Like, yes, I want to seize the moment. I did not feel like myself. I was like, I don't know where Audra is. And I could perform at work and whatever. But when I'm home with my husband and stuff, I was like, I'm like a shell of myself. And it wasn't depression. And I went to these doctors. It's been quite the journey, but gaslit in the medical system is just so common right now. It's disgusting. Yep. So I went in there. They knew I was a doctor, did this exam. I was like, can you please order these blood tests? It's just easier if you do it than if I do it. And at the end of the exam, he put his hand on my shoulder and goes, I guess I'll order the tests, but it's just anxiety and depression. No, I know that some of those feelings are coming out that way because, yes, if everything's dysregulated, it contributes to anxiety and depression. But there's something else going on. The root cause is something different, which, fun fact, by the way, if you are an anxious person and you study and you identify as that super anxious, this is like a self-study in my office I've been like keeping track of. Where that comes out in people's bodies is a lot of time is like your neck and jaw. And you'll come in complaining of neck and jaw pain. Mm-hmm. So anxiety and that is very directly related. Mm-hmm.
This is so fascinating because I can't remember who I was talking to or what. It was on a podcast, I'm sure. And I said, I had a great year for my business. With that came, I was stressed out. And that's not who I am. I'm not saying I never get stressed, but I'm like, oh, good. It's fine. Thrive, get some sunshine on your face. Like that's who I am. And I was like, wow. And I wonder if it was adrenal fatigue too.
And I mean, you have to take ownership, which I finally did. I'm setting the environment for myself to go down that path.
Mm-hmm, of course.
So I had to tell myself, okay, where are you going to rein it back? And I think a lot of us are like, especially entrepreneurs or people that have control of like your income if you work more. I'm like, well, I don't want to lose that money. Well,
100%.
You've got to figure out another way. And I can't enjoy that money when I feel like this, like complete dog poop.
I mean, Podsters, is she the real deal or what? So let me ask you this, because we talked about, so how did you know to get a blood test? Like, because I have one particular friend and I know that she's going to call me after this podcast and say, I told you, because she gets her blood tested all the time. So you walk into your doctor's office, male or female. I'm talking about Podsters. You're either male or female. You walk into your doctor's office and you say, I'm feeling stressed out. I'm feeling not like myself. I have headaches. I'm not sleeping well. I have no energy. I would like you to order a blood test.
Yeah. And it's a bunch of different panels. It's not just one, but I wouldn't lead with stressed out because they're going to roll their eyes. They hear it all day. Okay. I would go in and be like, I know something's wrong. I know my body. You need to be the authority and advocate for yourself. It is not up to them to tell you what's going on with your body. They're human too. It is for you to say, no, I know something's wrong and I'm ready to get to the bottom of this, and just say all your symptoms, whatever that may be. And I don't feel like myself. I know there's something contributing to this.
Yep.
And here's the crazy thing. Like, I didn't hope this, but as a doctor, sometimes too much, right? Because you studied all this stuff. I'm like, there's no way I don't have cancer or something. And in a way, I kind of wanted that just because it would be like confirmation to how bad I felt. Instead, it wasn't, which I'm so grateful for. But it was just as hard, though, that I have to change my whole life and figure out these boundaries and people pleasing because it's making me sick.
Oh, I have so much to unpack there. So not setting boundaries is literally making you sick.
Yes.
And that's with other people and yourself. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This has been on my top of mind lately too. And one of the things I've caught myself doing, which is good, is someone will say, hey, can you do this? And I'll say, sure. And then I'll stop at that. Whereas before I'd be like, well, yeah, but I can also, sure. And I'll also bring this and I'll also do this. And blah, blah, blah. They didn't ask me to do that. They only asked me, can you bring 10 books? Sure. And I can sign them too if you want. Do you want me to bring some bookmarks? And would you want to have a little party? And should we like, blah, 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 blah. It's over promising.
Yeah. And over giving. And it's really hard. Because like you do want to do good and you kind of feel guilty if you feel like you can give more, but if you got to keep track of what you're giving because you got to receive that from yourself too.
Well, absolutely. I completely agree. I completely agree. So you said boundaries. You said 30 seconds for you because you're important.
Yes.
What else would you say? We do things
We
in
need
threes here.
we need to move. I don't care what you do. I want you to do something you enjoy. So I kind of don't give a shit about 10,000 steps a day. I think that's if you need a goal and stuff, but then I also think we wear our watches and obsess over that goal that you're so stressed out obsessing over that instead of the point of what the whole 10,000 steps is just to get you moving.
Right.
So don't set a goal because I know if you're listening to this, you're like us, an overachieving, crazy people pleaser. That's fun, but you're also like such a goal accomplisher that it's almost to a fault. And the whole point of de-stressing and relaxing your nervous system is to not care about that stuff. So put your phone down, take your watch off, and just go for a walk to your mailbox and back. I don't care how long it is. Just get outside and move and do something. Or maybe I like to do when I get home from work now, I put one song on. So what's that? 2 minutes and 20 seconds. This is another one of my things to myself if I'm like at home. And I dance and my dog dances too. And like when my husband's home, we dance. It's like a dance party and you just move in a way that feels good to your body that day. Yep. And sometimes it might be just stretch in your bed. But your body needs that movement. It needs that relaxation, that blood flow to be able to breathe and decompress instead of just holding everything. Trauma and stress comes out in your body as pain, period. You need to move in order for it to release. Sitting in a chair all day, sitting on the couch, sitting is the new smoking. It's terrible. We need to get up and give ourselves micro breaks and just move somehow.
Totally. I remember I go on a little wellness retreat every year. I think I might have told you about that with a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And one year this woman came and talked about just getting, particularly in the Northeast, stepping outside and getting sunlight on your face, even if Absolutely. It's for 30 seconds.
Yep.
And I was running around like the Tasmanian devil a couple of weeks ago. And I stopped and I said, okay, go outside for 30 seconds. And I just stood there for 30 seconds ish and felt the sun on my face. And was I like hills are alive with the sound of music afterwards? No, but I'm like, okay, it's almost like peel yourself off the ceiling. Okay. Everything's okay.
Yeah. And there's something about being outside. It's like, you're almost in a meditative state, like instantly. It's like the fresh air, our bodies just respond to it. And I mean, there's so many other things that you can do, like the grounding, just step outside barefoot for 30 seconds.
I love that.
You said the sunlight. I love it too, but I don't put all this pressure on yourself that you have to do all these things. Pick 2 things, 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. And it's every day, the micro 2 minutes that add up. Like you said, you didn't feel the hills, whatever sayings you used were coming alive when you did that for 30 seconds. But if you start doing 30 seconds to 2 minutes every day of things that you're like, shit, this brings me joy, it's going to make such a difference.
Yeah, it compounds. And joy is not watching your favorite memes on Instagram. It is not.
That's actually stressful. Scrolling and like looking at those hits and like if you have enough likes and just being with that blue screen and seeing what everyone else is doing, whether you consciously know that, your subconscious does, and it's elevating your cortisol levels, elevating your stress hormones, causing that inflammation.
Oh, I love it. Okay. So I just wrote down, here's what I wrote down because I'm thinking about, we're recording this a little bit before December, like we're like mid-November, overcommitting. And so there's a couple things I do with that. That is my downfall. And it's overcommitting, particularly in December, to parties, making things, seeing people, let's catch up for a drink, let's meet for coffee. Oh, it's let's go do this. I want to see everybody. And so there's what was that?
Oh, I was like,
yeah. So there's a couple of things I'll do. One, I ask for help. So I will say to Danny, honey, I need you to help keep me in check. And when you feel that I'm overcommitting or we're overcommitting, I want you to point that out. So that's one thing I do. The other thing I do is I ask myself, will this sound as fun when I actually have to go do it as it does now, 3-4 weeks ahead of time? And what I've been doing a lot of lately is, and this is really helping, can we confirm a little closer out? Right now, I'm not really sure where I'll be. Right now, I'm not really sure what my day is going to be like. I just did this today. Somebody wants to get together this weekend. I said, absolutely. So I'm saying, yes, I would love to see you. Is it okay if we confirm this a little closer out? Because right now, I don't want to be committed to something that then I'm going to regret. It's not that I'm not going to see you. It's that I'm not sure what it's going to look like. What do you think about that?
I love it. And I'm really trying to work on that too, because I'm an overcommitter and I'm like, then the day comes and I dread the whole day and I shouldn't. Like, it should be fun things. And yes, once I'm there, am I having fun? Sure. But it's the pay, whatever, what's it called? Like afterwards, how I feel. Am I completely drained? And then how long is it going to take to recover? And another thing I would add to what you're saying, if it's a text message or in an email and you don't have to respond right then, don't respond right then. Sit with it for an hour or two and pay attention when you're thinking about that activity or seeing that person. What do you feel inside your body? Is it butterflies of excitement, or is it kind of like someone sitting on your chest, or a little bit of a stomach tightness? That's your body telling you, meh, let's keep it short with super tight boundaries, or a no, unless it's an excitement. Like, our bodies tell us so much if you listen to them, but a lot of times we shut them off and ignore and plow through.
That's a really good point, because yes, I love that. You're thinking about, how is my body reacting to this opportunity? So this could be a work opportunity. It could be a career opportunity. It could be a client, or it could be a friend that wants to get together for whatever. Yeah, that's good. And if you're not excited, you probably shouldn't say yes.
Exactly. And that in January or February, you might be excited. It's just, it could change. It doesn't mean you don't have to be friends. You don't have to take that client. You don't have to ever show up. But what's on your plate, I use this line, I stole it from someone else because we got to help each other out. But I got an email of, hey, I'd love to go to coffee and discuss this and this. And I said, I would love to, but my plate is completely full right now until after the holidays. Can we circle back? And I would love to talk to you about that. But right now, I don't have any space on my plate. And people get that. And they said, great. I set a notification to follow up after. And even when I said that, though, because I'm recovering right now of this, it kind of was like, oh, I'm going to let them down. I'm going to let them down. But as soon as I sent that email, I was like, oh, I feel so much lighter. I can almost breathe better. And my body was like, that's what you needed.
I did that twice this week. Again, we're in November when we're recording this. 2 people wanted to talk about a potential collaboration. Am I interested? Yes. Do I have the bandwidth right now? Nope. Am I interested if I have to do it right now? No. And I said, absolutely. I'd love to talk with you. I love your work. Can we touch base again in January? Yeah. That's it. And this is November. So I'm basically saying not for 6 or 8 weeks. So 2 things that happen with that, 3 things. 1, I get my time back. 2, I get to see how committed they really are. Right. If I don't hear from them again in January, because I'm not that excited about it. Like, I think it might be a good opportunity, but I'm not the one driving this. If I don't hear back from them again, then I know that they weren't that passionate about it. And the third is, I want to be thoughtful and strategic in how we approach this. And I don't have the mental capacity to do that right now. That's all. Like, I have too many other things on my plate. So it is so empowering. It was so empowering. It was great.
And you can do this at the holidays. I mean, this has been a thing for my husband and I's family too. Like, we all have these traditions and feel like we have to do everything the same every year, how our parents did it, how whatever did it. And you can change that at any time. And it is so funny. We've inspired some friends in Nashville. So my husband and I, what we do, we host Thanksgiving for whatever family wants to come. Come on down. We're going to have so much fun in Nashville. Christmas, we go on a trip by ourselves to reconnect. And just like, that's been our thing. And of course, both families not always happy about it.
Right.
But we would love to see you again. Would you want to visit again in January or February? And we can have a dinner and do something fun again. But it works for us. That's a time that we both can take off for our jobs. That's pretty easy, and just pour into us and re-strategize. So we've set those boundaries. And yes, of course, they're hard to keep. You feel like you're disappointing someone, but they all learn to respect it. And then if you want to do something else, throw out another date and time. Hey, why don't we do dinner, or you come over and we do late Christmas this date? I mean, you have to do what works for you, but it's so freeing when you decide what that is for yourself and your family and hold to it. People will adapt. They're not going to leave you. And if they do, they're not meant to be in your life anyways.
They're not your people, and they get used to it. Then it just becomes, oh yeah, we don't see Audra and her husband at Christmas. They go on their trip.
And they're excited and happy for us.
Right. Right.
That's cool.
By the
You
way,
can change stuff at any time.
Where are you going this year?
Oh my God, we're going to Chile. So we planned this in 2019 and then
Casual.
2020, everything hit the fan. So we've had the deposit paid since 2020. So that's kind of nice. Yeah. So we're really excited. We've been to Thailand, Belize, St. Lucia. Yeah. We just love to go all out around Christmas.
So fun. I'm going to be so envious. What else did we want to make sure we covered? I feel like we covered a lot.
Yeah. I think one thing I just wanted to mention too that is talked about all the time and people kind of poo poo is how important breathing is. And I get it is boring as watching paint dry on a wall. It is so incredibly dull. But if someone asks me what's the most important thing you can do to either control your stress, control your pain, control your mindset, and be present in the moment, it's going to be breathing, and it's free. So I have those free breathe out attention, but also a lot of us are breathing incorrectly. We are chest breathers. Like even right now, I want you to, listeners, pay attention to two things. Are you holding your breath right now? So many of us do that and don't even realize it. Doing that is one of the things costing you stability and strength and contributing to your pain. Two, when you're breathing, do you even feel your butt like on the chair if you're listening or driving or whatever? Or can you even feel your hip flexors when you're breathing? So we need to be breathing 360 degrees, but also all the way down. Like my saying is breathe into your butthole. But what I mean by that is as you inhale, you should be able to expand and feel those butt bones sitting on your chair or in your car. I go over this in episode 17 of my podcast, Mind Your Body. And that controls so many things from regulating your nervous system, like I said, but then also everyone's saying suck in, suck in. And I can go on a tangent about this and I will, and I do in the podcast, but you need to utilize that tool because it's free and it can change your life and change your pain. So if that's one takeaway I have, that would be one of them. And any kind of pain. So from your neck pain and TMJ, we're talking about it, to your plantar fasciitis, we're talking about it. It is your core. And that is one of the ways you correctly activate your core is by breathing correctly. Because if you're not doing that, any core exercise you do beyond that is incorrect and you're facilitating a compensatory pattern. So for the holidays, I'm doing Restore Your Pelvic Floor is my little webinar we're going to do. It's going to be awesome. So that'll be something to look and sign up if you follow me on Instagram at Dr. Audra Lance. We're going to get into the nitty gritty about it and not only how to fix yourself, but how the stress component plays in.
I love it. I absolutely love it. The other benefit of breathing for me is it buys me time. And this comes from yoga. I'll notice I'm stressed. Listen to this. I'll notice I'm stressed out about something by how I'm breathing. And if I bring in my yoga or what's it called? Ujjayi, if I bring in my Ujjayi breath and I can feel myself doing that, then I'm like, oh, this is stressing you out. Whatever you're thinking about, my body automatically does it, which is amazing. And I'll feel myself doing it. And I'm like, okay, something's up here. It's wild.
Yeah, that's incredible. But it took you a minute to learn that, right? You
didn't. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. Yeah. Awesome. Dr. Audra, I could not love you more. So
love you too.
Love you more. Dr. Audra, where can the Podsters find you?
Oh my God. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I mean, the antics. I'm not your normal doctor. I'm going to tell you how it is in real life. You can also listen to Mind Your Body. That's the name of the podcast.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you for having me.
Coming on. This was so cool. Podsters, this is our gift to you. This is your time. You're not going to get it back. Don't wait until January. Things will slow down in January because they won't. And
or you'll be sick.
Or you'll be sick. So breathe. Let's recap. Ready? It's breathe, boundary, and what was the third? 30 seconds.
30 seconds. That's all you got to give yourself. And you're going to thank yourself. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Peace out, Podsters.